There's a moment in every fight where your strength feels like it's running out. You've prayed, you've cried, you've done everything you know to do, but nothing seems to move. It's like God went silent, like the promise is hanging just out of reach. If that's where you are right now, I want you to pause, take a deep breath, because this word, this message is for you. The truth is, you're closer to your breakthrough than you think. The enemy always fights hardest when you're standing on the edge of something new. That's why everything feels heavier, why your heart feels worn out, why it seems like nothing's changing. But the word says in Galatians 6:9, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap." If we do not give up, there is a season appointed for your reward, and that season doesn't start when things look good. It begins right now, in the middle of the pressure, in the middle of the pain today. I want to speak directly to your spirit, not to your fear, not to your frustration, but to that part of you that still believes, even if it's faint, even if it's hanging by a thread. I'm here to remind you, you are not forgotten. God hasn't walked away from you. He's preparing you for what you've been praying for. And the moment you're tempted to give up is often the very moment before things begin to shift. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 truths, real, practical, spiritual strategies that will help you stand when everything in you wants to quit. By the end of this message, you'll see your situation differently. You'll feel lighter. You'll know how to keep moving forward with peace, faith, and confidence that God is still working behind the scenes. Before we start, I want you to do 3 things. First, hit that like button so this word can reach more people who need it. Second, comment below and let me know where you're watching from. I read every single one. And third, subscribe to Wisdom from Above and turn on all notifications so you never miss what's coming next. If this message blesses you, leave us super thanks. It helps this channel keep spreading truth, hope, and healing to more hearts around the world. Now let's go deeper, because your breakthrough is closer than you think. Number 1, remember who called you. When life feels heavy, the first thing the enemy attacks is your memory. He tries to make you forget who you are and who called you. Because if he can get you to question your identity, he can weaken your confidence and drain your faith. But I need you to hear this. You were called before you were ever crushed. Isaiah 43:1 says, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine." That means your name was already known in heaven before you ever faced the storm you're in right now. You didn't stumble into this journey by accident. You were chosen for it. And because you were chosen, there's a strength inside you that can't be destroyed, only hidden, only tested when things start falling apart. It's easy to forget who started the work in you. You start to think maybe you made a mistake, maybe it's not God's will, maybe you're not strong enough. But Philippians 1:6 says, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion." That means what God started, He's not going to abandon halfway through sometimes. The pressure isn't proof that you're off course, it's confirmation that you're on it. The resistance means there's something valuable in you. The opposition means the assignment is real. When the enemy can't stop your calling, he'll try to make you stop yourself. He'll whisper, "You're not enough." But God says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." So right now, I want you to remind yourself out loud if you can, I'm still called. You might be tired, but you're still chosen. You might be uncertain, but God hasn't changed his mind about you. You might not see the finish line yet, but heaven already wrote the ending. Don't let your emotions rewrite what God already declared. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not behind. You are right where you need to be for God to show his power through your persistence. Your job isn't to understand every detail. It's to remember who called you and keep walking in that truth. Number 2, stop measuring God by what you see. One of the greatest traps you'll ever face is judging God's faithfulness by your current situation. When things look still, When prayers seem unanswered, when nothing around you is moving, you start to wonder if God forgot you. But listen carefully. Silence is not absence. Delay is not denial. Isaiah 55:8-9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. Declares the Lord, God doesn't work on your clock. He's not bound by the timelines you've set for yourself. He's not late. He's strategic. While you're asking, when? God. He's setting things in place so when it happens, it won't fall apart. We live in a world obsessed with instant results. We want microwave, answers to divine processes. But God doesn't rush what he intends to last. He takes time to shape the blessing so it doesn't rush the person receiving it. If he gave it too early, you might mistake it for luck instead of grace. So sometimes he hides the blessing behind delay, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Abraham waited 25 years for a promise. Joseph sat in a prison before he ever touched a palace. Even Jesus waited 30 years before his public ministry began. Waiting isn't wasted time. It's sacred time. It's where God matures your faith and teaches your heart to trust what your eyes can't see. Corinthians 5:7 says, "We walk by faith, not by sight." That means your strength comes not from what's visible, but from what's promised. You might not see change yet, but that doesn't mean God stopped working. He's aligning people, opening doors, shifting hearts, and moving pieces you don't even know about. So stop saying, "Nothing's happening." Something is happening. You just can't see it yet. Faith is learning to believe in the dark what God told you in the light. When you choose to trust, even when you can't trace him, heaven moves right now. Lift your head and say, "God, I trust you even here." Because what looks quiet is often the moment before the breakthrough arrives. Don't measure his goodness by your situation. Measure it by his word. Number 3, protect your heart while you wait. When the waiting gets long, disappointment tries to sneak in, and if you're not careful, that disappointment can harden your heart. You start out full of faith, full of vision, but when things take longer than expected, bitterness starts to whisper. You begin to build walls where you used to build altars. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." That means your heart is not just where you feel, it's where you live from your faith. Your peace, your hope, your love, they all flow from that inner space. And when that space gets poisoned by comparison, by fear, by anger, it clouds how you hear God and how you see life. Maybe you've been hurt waiting on someone who changed on you, or you prayed for something that didn't happen like you expected. Now you find yourself guarding not your heart, but your hope. You tell yourself, "I don't want to expect too much anymore." But faith doesn't survive behind walls. Faith breathes in vulnerability, in the willingness to believe again, even after being disappointed. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." That means God isn't repelled by your pain. He's drawn to it. He doesn't expect you to pretend everything's fine. He just asks you not to let pain become your new identity. While you wait, feed your heart with what strengthens you. Worship even when you don't feel it. Read the word even when it feels quiet. Speak life even when your emotions want to speak doubt, because every seed you plant in your heart during this season will bloom in the next one. Guarding your heart doesn't mean closing it off. It means protecting its purity. It means staying tender, not bitter. It means refusing to let what hurt you change who you are. God can heal anything you hand him, but he can't heal what you hide. So right now, choose softness over cynicism. Choose peace over pressure. Choose to keep your heart open even in the waiting, because a soft heart is a sign of real strength, and that strength will carry you into your breakthrough. Number 4. Don't confuse rest with quitting. There's a difference between giving up and taking a breath. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is stop. Sit down and rest, because if the enemy can't destroy you, He'll try to drain you. He'll convince you that slowing down means you failed, when in truth it means you're wise. Even Jesus rested. Mark 6:31 says, "Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, 'Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest.'" That's not weakness, that's rhythm. That's alignment with divine order. God worked 6 days and then rested on the seventh. Rest was not an afterthought. It was part of creation's design. Some of you are exhausted not because you're doing too little, but because you're carrying what God never asked you to. You're trying to fix everything, prove everything, hold everything together on your own strength. But Psalm 127:2 says, "It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives his beloved sleep." Rest is a gift, not a luxury. When you rest, you make room for God to work. When you stop striving, you give heaven space to move. Sometimes the breakthrough you're waiting for doesn't come through more effort. It comes through surrender, through saying, "God, I've done what I can, and now I trust you to do what I can't." You're not lazy for resting, you're recharging for what's next. Your spirit needs stillness to hear clearly. Your body needs recovery to stand strong. Your mind needs peace to stay focused, and your heart needs quiet to remember what matters most. So if you're tired right now, that's okay. It doesn't mean you've lost your fire. It means you've poured a lot out. Take a day to breathe. Spend time in prayer. Step outside and look at the sky. Remember that the same God who holds the stars is still holding you. Rest isn't quitting. It's preparing. It's how you gather strength for the next chapter God's already written for your life. Number 5. Let God redefine what winning looks like. Sometimes your breakthrough doesn't look like what you prayed for, and that's where most people lose heart. Not because God said no, but because he answered differently than they expected. We often assume victory means everything goes our way, but God's definition of winning is deeper. It's transformation, not just triumph. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." All things, not just the easy ones, not just the answered prayers, but the pain, the waiting, the detours, the disappointments. God is working them together for your good, even when it doesn't feel like it. He's not just trying to get you somewhere. He's shaping who you are on the way there. Sometimes, what feels like a loss is actually a rescue. That relationship that ended, it didn't break you. It freed you. That door that closed, it didn't reject you, it redirected you. That delay that frustrated you, it wasn't a punishment, it was protection. You asked for blessing, and God gave you pruning because he knew that without pruning, you'd never grow. The cross didn't look like victory. It looked like failure. It looked like loss. It looked like the end. But 3 days later, heaven revealed what it really was: the greatest win in history. What felt like defeat was the foundation of redemption. That's what God does. He turns what looks broken into something beautiful. So don't let your feelings define your faith. Stop calling something a loss when heaven calls it preparation. You may not understand the process, but you can trust the purpose. Every setback you've faced is a setup for something better. Winning with God doesn't always mean standing tall. Sometimes it means standing still. It doesn't always mean being seen. Sometimes it means being hidden until the time is right. You're not losing, you're learning, you're becoming, you're being refined. And one day soon, you'll look back and realize that what felt like breaking was actually building you into someone unstoppable in faith. Number 6. Remove all that's not from God. Sometimes breakthrough doesn't come from adding more. It comes from letting go. You can't step into what's next if your hands are full of what God asked you to release. He can't pour new wine into old wineskins, because the weight of the old will break what's being made new. We often pray for clarity, but cling to Confusion. We ask for peace, but hold on to people and patterns that steal it. We want God's will, but we keep editing His instructions to fit our comfort. If you want to see God move, you have to move out of the way. There are seasons when God will start removing things you thought you needed, not because He's punishing you, but because He's protecting you. He's not just cutting things off, He's clearing the path. Every subtraction in your life is making space for divine multiplication. Let God remove the distractions, the voices that drown out His, the habits that dull your fire, the fears that keep you small. You can't carry everything and still run your race. Remember, pruning is proof of purpose. John 15 says that every branch that bears fruit, He prunes so it may bear more fruit. So if God is cutting something away, it's because He sees more in you than you see in yourself. Release what's no longer aligned. Surrender what's no longer serving your spirit. You're not losing control. You're returning it to the one who knows exactly what to do with it. This is your invitation to unclutter your soul, to let go of the weight that's been wearing you down, to trust that whatever God removes, He replaces with something better. He never takes without the intention to restore. So breathe, loosen your grip, and let God remove all that's not from Him, because on the other side of release is renewal. And number 7, rest before you run. We live in a world that glorifies hustle, but heaven values stillness. God never asked you to burn out to prove your belief. He asked you to abide. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is rest, not because you're weak, but because you trust rest is not retreat. It's realignment. It's where your strength is restored and your spirit is renewed. Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray, not to escape His calling, but to sustain it. If the Son of God needed to pause, so do we. Rest is not laziness, it's leadership of your soul. It's the discipline of depending on God instead of your own effort. You can run harder, but it won't replace the power that comes from resting. In His presence, when you rest, you remember who the source really is. It's not your schedule that sustains you. It's not your talent that carries you. It's His grace that keeps you standing. Stop measuring your worth by your workload. Stop calling exhaustion purpose. You can't pour out if you never fill up. You can't fight battles on empty. God is not impressed by your pace. He's moved by your peace. And peace is found when you slow down long enough to hear His whisper again. Rest is not the end of your momentum. It's the maintenance of it. You don't have to run to keep up with grace. Grace will meet you where you are, so breathe. Lay down the weight of hurry. Find stillness in His presence. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your destiny is to rest before you run. Every lesson in this series has been leading you to one truth. God is not just writing your story. He's shaping you through it. From trusting His timing to surrendering control, from standing in faith to letting Him redefine what winning means. Every step has been a setup for your growth. You've learned that sometimes He hides you before He highlights you, that He removes before He restores, that He asks you to rest before you run, because what He's building in you is bigger than a moment. It's preparation for a lifetime of purpose. God is not late. He's intentional. He's not silent. He's strategic. He's not withholding. He's working. So don't rush the process. Respect it. Don't fear the pruning. Embrace it. Don't despise the waiting. It's where the roots of faith grow deepest. You're not behind. You're being built. This is your reminder that even when it doesn't look like it, God is moving. Even when you can't see the outcome, you can trust His hand. Every delay has purpose. Every detour has direction. And every season has something sacred in it. You're not just surviving. You're being shaped for significance. So, keep showing up, keep trusting, keep believing, because what's ahead is worth the process you're in. If this series spoke to your heart, let me know in the comments. Share which number hit home the most for you. And if you've been encouraged and want to help this message reach more people, don't forget to subscribe to Wisdom from Above. Leave a comment and tap that super Thanks to support the message of faith and hope, your journey matters, and you're closer than you think.
Amen.